You've probably heard countless supplement recommendations promising quick fixes and miracle results. But are these supplements really worth the hype? Hey, I'm Mike.
And I'm Twain.
Welcome to another episode of 40 Plus Fit, the podcast where we unpack the science of sustainable weight loss and fitness for those over 40. Today, we're diving deep into the world of supplements and debunking some of the most common myths. Join us as we explore the truth behind popular supplements and learn how to make informed choices for your over 40 fitness journey. Our in-house coach, Twain, is a renowned fitness expert with years of experience helping people achieve their health goals. With his knowledge and insights, we'll uncover the science behind supplements and separate fact from fiction.
All right, awesome. I always feel like I'm jumping in too early when you are still doing the introduction.
I think today's introduction we went a bit long, maybe. Maybe we should keep that shorter.
That's fine, right?
See what the people say.
Yeah, that's how people know it's real. We are real on here.
All right, so we're going to jump in this quick. We're setting ourselves a timer, 30 minutes today, no longer than
Oof.
30 minutes.
Okay, let's do
We'll
it.
keep it short, to the point, and see how it goes.
I mean, that's what we always say, but we always no, but today we have to be on track. Okay, we have to be on track. Come, let's go. We have how many questions?
We have a few user submitted questions, so we'll cover those, and then we'll probably just throw in one or two extra, and we see how the episode plays out as we go along. But let's just get kicking, man.
Yeah, let's
So right,
go.
the very first question we want to ask is, if you could pick 4 supplements for the rest of your life, so maximum 4, no more than 4.
Okay.
Can be 1, can be 2, can be 3, but maximum 4. So for the rest of your life, what would those supplements be?
Oh, wow. This feels like, a really constrained kind of selection process, right? I think straight off the bat, I just want to say that we always say this, right? Supplements are literally just the extra 1%. Maybe if you have everything else really well sorted out, it might give you that extra 5%, let's say, for some of the subs. But I'm also going to answer this maybe from the perspective of not like purely fitness and sport, but more of long-term health. So if you want to stay really healthy, these are things that you probably want to take all the way, and it'll be quite useful for you. So with that being said, I think the first thing I would suggest, especially if you stay in Asia, would be protein powder. And I think everybody knows how I feel on that by this point, if you listen to our previous supplement episodes, right? Couple reasons why. First thing, protein powder, fantastic source of protein. I mean, it ranks super high on the on the amino acid scale. There's this thing called the protein digestibility amino acid scale. It's called PITCAS. But okay, I mean, like, I'm just trying to pronounce the acronym, but it doesn't really form a word. But basically, it's just like right up there, and it's a scale which tells you, okay, in this protein, how much percentage of it is bioavailable for your body to really break down and utilize. And protein powder is like right up there with almost a score of 1, which is basically everything gets used. So protein powder, economical, great source of protein, very complete. And if you stay in a place where the cuisine is not necessarily very protein rich, a lot of Asian cuisines are like this, they are not very protein rich, this would be a very useful supplement to have just to make sure your protein stores are kept up. So that's the first one. Second one, I would definitely recommend some sort of a multivitamin, especially if you are, in your more senior years. And again, this podcast is all about us as we get older. What can we do to kind of like bulletproof? No, bulletproof is actually a terrible word, I think. Maybe insure our health. I look at it more as an insurance policy, right? So assuming that you have all your nutrition sorted out, you're eating very varied amounts of foods, and you should be doing that, a good variety of fruits and vegetables, a good multivitamin will come in to top up the bases. Okay. The reason why I suggest multivitamin is because it's very unlikely, unless you go and do a blood check, it's very unlikely you have any like really significant deficiency in any one nutrient, any one micronutrient or any vitamin, any mineral. So just taking a multivitamin will tend to cover those bases. Now, the best part is multivitamins, there is like male and female oriented versions. Generally, the only difference for that would just be like for the female ones tends to either be fortified with some extra calcium, some extra folate, some extra iron, which are things that for ladies in general, as you get older, you tend to be, it tends to drop off a little bit quicker for ladies as you get older. So I think multivitamin, perfect, for the second one. Now, the third one, I would actually suggest creatine. And I know you might be thinking, oh, I thought you weren't going to go from the sports perspective. I would say, yes, I'm actually talking about this from the pure health perspective. If you listen to our previous supplement episode where we talk about creatine, creatine itself has a lot of these cognitive effects, aside from just the muscular performance enhancing effects that are so well associated with it. Nowadays, there's a lot of research to show the extra benefits it gives to the brain. Same thing because why? Why? Because creatine itself helps with that creatine phosphate energy system, which then allows your body to kind of have that extra energy currency, to be able to last a bit longer. And when you saturate your body with a lot more creatine, it also impacts the brain cells in that same way. So I think that's something that can really help guard against any kind of negative brain development or conditions as we get older. Yeah. So that will be the third one. And the last one here, now the last one here,
For sure.
I would want to say yes. I was thinking about whether it would be specifically magnesium or fish oil. And again, I'm looking at this again towards that older crowd. And I think both have their efficacy, but if you have everything else sorted out, you're taking a multivitamin, you're having enough protein, you're taking enough creatine, you probably would not need magnesium already. So I would say the fish oil would be a good idea. Why? Because you get all those fantastic omega-3s that come from the fish. Very good for helping regulate the triglyceride levels in the blood, right? So you prevent like kind of lower heart risk factors, heart issue risk factors. And then it also kind of has kind of that anti-inflammatory functions and mechanisms when you take them as well that really help. The other thing also, it keeps up your blood's viscosity to a very balanced level, so it doesn't allow the blood to thin out too much, which is something that can happen as you get older. Yeah, so I think it's pretty good in that sense. Now, obviously, if you're already eating a ton of fish, this might not be as necessary, but I do think just one or two capsules, even if you're eating a ton of fish, one or two capsules will just be that little bit more insurance policy that you can use. So that's what I recommend. Those four. First one would be protein powder. Okay, and specifically just like a whey concentrate from a good reliable company. Whey concentrate, fine. A multivitamin. If you're male, you can just take like any men's multivitamin, you should be fine. If you're female, just try to find a female-oriented multivitamin. The third one will be creatine itself. You probably want to take about 5 grams a day. For most people, slight oversaturation is totally fine, harmless to the body. You will excrete it out anyway. And 5 grams, even if it's slightly oversaturated for your size, like if you're 60 kilos, 70 or 60 kilos and below, it's not going to cause any like cramps or ache or like, dehydration in your body. It's not that much more. So it's totally fine. And then the fourth one is going to be the fish oils. That's pretty
Okay.
much it. What do you think,
So,
Mike?
so if we had to go against what we said earlier, and then if there were two optional ones that you would suggest, like maybe I'm getting enough fish, what else do I throw in the magnesium? Or if you have
Oh,
two options, like two,
um,
two, two on the bench, two substitutes on the
two on
bench,
the bench.
waiting to get into this game.
Yeah. Honestly, I would say magnesium, and I'm recommending this from the perspective of what I've observed in a lot of the clients that I work with, and what I would describe as more modern day life. Okay, the thing is, I notice a lot of people don't get very good sleep. All
Yeah.
right, and because they don't get very good sleep, their recovery tends to be a little bit worse for wear. Okay, so if you're very active, if you're already training very hard, you're probably not maximizing the recovery component of things. Magnesium comes in to help upregulate the nervous system on that recovery side of things. So you're talking about upregulating some of these parasympathetic nervous system functions that help you recover better. So a good way for us to usually recommend taking magnesium is to get people to take it, before they go and sleep, and tends to help enhance the sleep quality a little bit better. For women especially, it can actually be quite useful to help women manage some of the perimenopausal symptoms. It's not like a magic pill, don't get me wrong, but when used in conjunction with, like, if you're doing all the other good stuff where you're eating well, you're keeping your weight down, not getting excessively fat, and you're also exercising, which is key, lifting weights and stuff, you will find like this whole equation actually helps manage some of these menopausal symptoms better. Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, sorry, that was only one, right? So the other one
Yeah.
on the bench, and this one is more, I think, towards a Asian population, because this seems to be a bit more of the case. It will be more probiotics for most people. Yeah, so more probiotics. And why did I say probiotics and not prebiotics? Number one, because prebiotics essentially is just fiber. So eat enough fruits and veg, find the ones that don't bloat you up, eat a lot more of those, and you already settle the prebiotic component. You don't need a supplement for that. And probiotics are just all the good bacteria that we need in the gut to help ferment some of these fibers and to help break down some of these um, um, stuff that our stomach itself does not digest, through its enzymatic processes. And so we can have better digestion in a sense, less stressed in the digestive system, which means less stress overall on the body. Yeah. So probiotics really, really good for that. There's all these flow-on effects from just having good digestion in the first place. We're like conscious and unconscious. Like consciously, obviously, if you digest better, you don't feel bloated, you don't feel gassy, you feel great, right? But the other thing is unconsciously also, these bloatedness and gassiness and gastric distress tends to actually cause extra physiological stress on the body, and then actually stresses out the nervous system further. So it adds to that chronic stress layer.
Oh.
Yeah, so those are my two on the bench stuff. They are really as needed kind of thing.
Okay. Awesome. I think for myself is I would throw in somewhere there, probably even as high as in the top 4. I'll throw in a fiber supplement. The reason being is like I notice most people do not actually get the required amount of fiber in a day.
Actually, that's a good one for sure. That's a good one.
So
I would say though, it's probably better to just get it from your food sources. And here's my rationale for this. Because you might be asking, oh, then why do you suggest protein powder, right? Because you could get protein from food sources. Protein powder is very transportable. And if you want to get from food sources like actual meat and stuff, it can be relatively economically challenging sometimes, to get like really lean, good sources of protein, especially if you're eating out. So protein powder comes in and it really fills that gap quite quickly and quite fast. Whereas if you talk about getting fiber in, fruits and veg, fruits are relatively portable. You can grab a whole bunch of fruits, cut them up, put it in a Tupperware, you can carry them along. You can eat fruits that are not even needed to be cut up. You can get an apple and just eat it. You can put it inside the plastic bag, put it inside your bag, right? So I think it's one of those things where it's still easier to get fruits and veg and transport them around versus, let's say, like a actual protein meal. So in terms of fiber, fiber supplement works great, but it's not a substitute, definitely not a substitute for fruits and veg, and then
yeah,
fruits and veg have the added buffer of, all the other micronutrients as well, not just the fiber.
yeah, I'd 100% agree. It's not a substitute, but
Yeah.
the realistic aspect of it is that we are not getting enough fiber in. So for that aspect, until you can actually build up your diet, getting to a more rounded, more how should we say, holistic diet that you're actually covering all the bases. I always suggest like, okay, just take in a fiber supplement for now because you'll see a huge difference already just from that.
Yep. I'm definitely in agreement with you on that.
But I don't believe it's something for a long term. Like I'll always try and move people towards going and eating a better diet, a better balanced diet where they can actually consume their fiber.
Yeah.
I'm 100% agree with you on that.
Yeah.
But this is like just an interim moving towards it. All right. Running for time. Yeah, running for time. Okay.
Yes.
Second question. What are some supplements you would recommend for women going through menopause?
Oh, just nice. I mentioned just now, right? Like magnesium. Honestly, the first one I always recommend is magnesium. But let's just quickly take a very quick step back. The issue for women going through menopause is just trying to manage a lot of different symptoms. Okay, and actually there's a whole plethora of supplements that could work to help. But I would say that again, supplements are just really, that 1%, 5% kind of deal. But the ones that I found most effective is number one, to handle, the symptoms that most ladies tend to have that affect them a lot in menopause tends to be the sleep issues, right? So getting those hot flashes and disrupted sleep and not having very good sleep in the first place. So most of the supplements I recommend is to help with that. And the first one, like I mentioned just now, magnesium, really, really good for that. Again, it helps with the upregulation of your parasympathetic nervous system. So it kind of helps with the quality of the repair when you are trying to sleep. So it gives you a better quality sleep, deeper level of sleep. Another one is this amino acid called L-theanine, which is a more of like a cognitive compound. So it supports the cognitive functions, supports the sleep component of things as well, and general relaxation of the body. Yeah. The research suggests honestly a wide range of health benefits, but I think the mechanism behind it again is more towards that upregulation of some of the nervous system, what do you call it, nervous system receptors in and of themselves as well. So it's kind of similar to magnesium, but magnesium is a bit more specific to, let's say, like the cell transport, like nutrients across the cell transport. L-theanine is more towards the actual building of the nervous system, if that makes sense. Yeah. So better focus, better sleep quality. The other one would be, and this one is really like, I think it's gotten very popular recently, but I'm not sure of the efficacy. It's used a lot in Ayurvedic medicine, which is Indian style. Like we have traditional Chinese medicine, right? So like Ayurvedic, it's the Indian version of that. And it's ashwagandha. So ashwagandha is what they call an adaptogen. And an adaptogen is basically a kind of herb that helps reduce cortisol levels in the body. Of course, cortisol is just one of the stress hormones. There's also other, adrenaline, what's it called? Ephedrine, all these other levels in the body, right? So ashwagandha kind of comes in and kind of helps regulate those downwards, buffer against those. So this one, I take it as well. Like these are all supplements that I take: magnesium, ashwagandha, L-theanine. I couldn't tell you which one is the one that really helps, to be honest, because they all seem to just help together. So it's one of those things where it might even just be a placebo effect for the large part, to be honest. But those are the ones that I think magnesium is still the biggest one that has a lot more fact and research behind it. And a lot of the ladies that I work with that are going through perimenopause, when they take magnesium before they sleep, we do see in their record when they track their sleep is not only longer, they also have less disruption as well. So kind of take it for what it's worth. They're obviously all like managing their diet as well, and doing good exercise and lifting weights and all that good stuff. So largely that's going to be the biggest factor here. There's also some possibility where I think when ladies go through menopause, they have a little bit of digestive issues. So maybe some sort of probiotic could be very useful as well. I think a large part of these digestive issues this sudden onset of digestive issues tends to be either anxiety-based or generally just stress-based. So when you're going through this phase, not only is your body changing, it's also going through this uncomfortable shit, and then you feel very stressed out. And then things that usually don't bother you start to bother you a lot more, as you're transitioning through this phase, right? And so trying to deal with anxiety can be very helpful. There are some supplements that supposedly help with that. Again, some overlap, the ashwagandha stuff, the magnesium stuff, but then the additional stuff would be the probiotics, right? Which helps with the digestive stuff that we kind of talked about just now. So yeah, let me think. Yeah, I think those are the ones that I usually recommend. Anything else that I recommend beyond that has been a bit more individual specific, so I probably won't want to talk about those. Yeah, and really it's more on a case by case, but I think for the most part, these four you cannot go too wrong. Anyone literally could add them in. And then they'll probably feel some sort of feel a little bit better. Yeah. But I would definitely recommend go with the big stuff first, right? Like make sure you are watching what you eat, improving the quality of what you eat, and then make sure you're exercising. Like these two things really matter a lot more for overall well-being. The exercising part itself already helps people feel better. because it's not just about, transforming the body and all that stuff, but it's also the effects that you get when you exercise. You're talking about the neurochemical effects. They translate into mood, better mood. You're talking about the appetite regulation effects that actually help you feel, like less cravings, less of that kind of elevated, what do you call that? Elevated appetite modes, right? So it regulates your ghrelin. It regulates your ghrelin downwards, which is the thing that makes you feel very, very hungry all the time, and all this kind of stuff. Yeah. So these two things really, really matter a lot more. Then once you do that, and if you still have these symptoms or you're still experiencing them, you add in the supplements, and then you should start to notice a little bit of that difference.
Okay. Would you say that there's any difference taking fish oil, omega-3s?
Fish oil, omega-3, I think those are really very general health buffers. And for ladies, yes, no doubt they are important. But I don't think they are particularly useful, like, or specific to like menopause per se, like menopausal symptoms. Maybe fish oil could be argued to help with, let's say, like hot flashes, possibly, but yeah, but I don't think it's very specific towards the extent. Like the fish oil benefits are more wide ranging, as I mentioned earlier. Yeah, so it's more about all the stuff that's associated with like healthier lipid levels, which is general health, and that what that does is then it creates a better environment and a smoother environment for your body to go through the transition of menopause itself.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, this time is really flying on us. Okay. Let's jump to number 3. What are your
Awesome.
thoughts on fat burners? I'm sure this is your favorite
Oh,
supplement.
geez, wow. Okay, I think Cliff Notes is just waste of time. Don't even bother. If you already have everything in order, and I really mean in order, like you are counting your macros, you are on a meal plan, you are managing your stress, it's not completely stressing you out to do that, you are training hard with weights, you're getting enough sleep and all, you're probably already going to maximize your fat loss component of things, okay? From there, if you take a fat burner, it could potentially help the extra 1% maybe. All right. But beyond that, look, fantastic waste of time. Most of the people that have used it and seen some benefits, I will tell you that when you question them a bit deeper and you break down what they were doing prior to taking the fat burner and after taking the fat burner, it usually was the fact that they invested in the fat burner and they got the rest of their act together. And then most of the people that take the fat burner and tell me, oh, it doesn't work, they didn't change a thing other than taking the fat burner. Maybe they ran a bit more and then that's it. So fat burners, complete waste of time. Most of them are just stimulants, largely factored around caffeine, green tea extract, some sort of coffee bean extract, any of the other, and also any of the other what we call blood flow encouraging kind of like supplements like tribulus or honey goat weed or whatever extract, all these stuff that they will use as well, like tonka ali, for men's libido supplements too. So these are things they usually tend to like just splice together and boom, proprietary blend and then charge you an arm and leg for it.
All right. I won't ask to elaborate too much on that one because I know it's a bit of a burner for you. We can
I'll
put it
just go
that
on forever, that's why. But don't waste your money, guys.
Right. The next one is L-carnitine useful for burning fat.
L-carnitine. Okay, so this one I've actually had people ask it before, and I think the easiest way to explain L-carnitine is let me think. It's just to think of it this way, okay? L-carnitine, what it does is when your body wants to burn fat, it goes through this process called beta oxidation, or this is one of the channels through which it burns fat. And L-carnitine acts as a transport vehicle to bring the fat out of the mobilize the fat out of the fat cells to allow for it to be, in that form where it gets burnt. All right. So the best analogy I can give you is to think of L-carnitine as a shovel. Okay, and then the fat packet is coal. All right, and L-carnitine is the shovel that allows you to shovel that coal into the furnace to burn for energy, so to speak. And so you can take a whole bunch of L-carnitine, right? And you have a lot of shovels, but your furnace is only so big. So you can have a whole ton, a shit ton of like shovels to travel the coal, but you cannot shovel it beyond a certain rate.
Okay.
Yeah, so more is not better. And then what happens is because L-carnitine is an amino acid, right? So uh this excess that's available around there, it doesn't just stay there. What happens is that your body at any kind of like, point, right? It will say, okay, cool, I have all these excess stuff. I'll just rechannel that. It goes through its gluconeogenesis into energy. So it just turns into glycogen eventually for your body to use for energy. So it becomes just very expensive energy, you know, in that sense. So yeah, so more L-carnitine isn't going to help you, if you already like have everything else in place and if you're eating a very protein-rich diet. Okay, and when I say protein rich, I mean like complete amino acid profile stuff. So you're eating a lot of like meat sources, egg sources, dairy sources of meat. And then maybe if you're vegetarian, you're getting soy or you're getting I forgot what's the other one that's very complete also. Was it corn or pea? Yeah, I can't remember exactly. But anyway, one of those. Yeah. So yeah, so that's L-carnitine in a nutshell.
Okay. What about conjugated linoleic acid?
Okay. That one's also it's kind of a similar thing. Um, yeah, I would say it's kind of a similar thing. So same thing. You don't need much more than what you're already getting from like let's say other fat sources already. So if you're getting dairy and beef and you're already getting like moderately fatty beef, you're drinking maybe regular full fat milk, you're probably good to go. You're eating a lot of cheese, you're probably good to go. Yeah. So I wouldn't even worry about getting any extra there because supposedly it helps you improve your insulin sensitivity, supposed to help you improve your blood lipid profile, supposed to help you decrease body fat, all this kind of good stuff. But look, those things don't happen in the absence of a calorie deficit and actual exercise and all.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because I did read once before where they said that CLA, where they did I think it was a review of 18 studies that they did,
Mm.
and they found that it actually helps lose fat in animals,
Yeah, but
but
that's not
in humans,
necessarily
nothing.
transferable to humans. Yeah, and that's the thing. See, when you read something and read a study about like animal testing, right? Like when they
Mm,
test this stuff on animals and you get some fantastic results, you can like it's very easy to get carried away and think like, oh, cool, like if we go into humans, it'll be the same. But there's multiple levels to that as well, because they need to first make sure that it's safe for people to kind of even take the supplement and all this sort of stuff. So then they will go through trials where maybe they do in vitro studies, and in vitro is just like literally in the test tube, right, or the petri dish. And so that doesn't translate out to real world in the human body as well, because
yeah.
the human body has a lot more complex mechanisms going on that can kind of interfere with each other compared to, let's say, a petri dish, and a couple of cells in a petri dish. So there's that. And then, there's no, like, they have to make sure that the studies themselves were conducted on humans, in randomized control trials, I suppose. That's probably the gold standard, I guess.
Mm.
Yeah.
And this again is like we said in the previous podcast, is highlights the importance of being able to understand studies rather than just read studies for keywords that are supporting your narrative.
Yeah. Yeah. But the good news is there are quite a few individuals that help to kind of like interpret and talk about some of these studies. I mean, there are a lot of
Mm.
evidence-based people, but to be honest, also everybody has their biases as well. So yeah. I
Mm.
mean, just take note, right? Like if your diet's not in order, you probably don't need all this stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah,
fix
you
the
don't
diet
don't
first. All right, final question. Looks like we
yes.
just might be able to sneak in here.
Oh, okay. Let's do this.
Right. Do we need
Awesome.
to be concerned about supplement timing?
Oh, supplement. Oh, wow. Okay. Um, this one, what do you think the context is behind this question?
So, for some people, they take protein powder, right? Then there's
Yeah.
this whole big talk about, oh, if you consume a protein powder, you must make sure you consume it within the anabolic window. And for at a long period of time, they've always believed that anabolic window is 1 hour after your workout.
Okay.
Recent research has obviously shown that the anabolic window stretches much longer than 1 hour. Some allude and suggest that it goes up to 24 hours after your workout. So if it's not as important to actually try and fit in all your protein after that in the anabolic window after the workout, but rather
Okay.
consume it on a consistent basis throughout the day. What are your
Okay.
thoughts?
With respect to that, then I would say there is kind of some benefits to protein dosing, mega dosing, um, in those times where around that workout window. Okay. But is it as strict as this half hour, 1 hour after? Not really. Like, it doesn't mean if you take it at 31 minutes, after oh man, you lose all the benefits. Like, it's not quite so linear in that sense. So as long as you're within, I think that the so-called cutoff, that they found is anywhere around like 2 hours, you're probably good to go. And then this also doesn't take into account the fact that, let's say if you already had like a huge steak meal an hour before your training, right? That steak meal is going to sit in you for another 6 hours. So you're still having all these amino acids kind of flowing. Yeah. So I would say maybe the caveat to that would then just be, look, if you only ate a little bit before, okay, and this will probably be more applicable to all of you who are trying to lose weight, trying to lose fat, you are not eating a lot in the first place. Okay, the timing might help a little bit more, right? And so you might not be eating too much before you train, and then when you finish training, it'll be a good idea for you to then have that protein shake, because then you can, push a whole bunch of like this protein bolus into the body so that you can start doing that recovery and repair function. Yeah.
What
So
about
I would say with regards to this supplement timing, yeah, that one makes sense.
what about
Yeah,
replacing of glycogen?
the replacement of glycogen actually isn't as important if you're doing like just regular workouts, even if you're doing like some basic cardio stuff, unless you're telling me like you're running a full-on marathon, something, then really the glycogen would factor in quite a bit. But for most people, number one, you're never going to be glycogen depleted unless you intentionally do it, which is either A, you are both in a calorie deficit and you're also going low carb all the way. That's the quickest way to do that. And then you do workouts where they're very, very high rep, and not say with light weights, right? But like they're higher reps. You're talking like 20 reps plus kind of like sets. Yes, then over a week or so of doing that, you probably will deplete a majority of the body's glycogen, but also you will probably feel like shit as well when you do that. So it's a very intentional thing. Okay, most people will never unintentionally be glycogen depleted. So you don't have to worry too much about that. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so the one's for the workout stuff.
Yeah.
But it just occurred to me also when you talk about supplement timing, there are certain supplements that when we talk about timing, I guess maybe the we could further elaborate that into whether you take them on an empty stomach or not,
Okay.
right? So if you're talking about timing, like there's in that sense, there's some supplements maybe better taken in the morning before you eat anything, and then some supplements you can take like maybe later at night or throughout the day or whatever when you already have some food in your stomach. So the empty stomach supplements generally are going to be stuff like probiotics. It's going to be stuff, a couple minerals that are a bit more like water, what do you call that? No, that's not the correct word, not hydrophilic, but they're like more water soluble. Actually, the minerals themselves won't be water soluble, let's put it that way, but they are more, they help in like the water transport itself, right? Magnesium and iron and zinc. Um, these are supplements that are best taken on an empty stomach. However, there are also some separate things here to take note. Like example, like you don't want to take iron and zinc together, because they both compete for absorption. So there are some timings related to this kind of stuff. But I think most people will not necessarily need to take zinc, and most people take zinc in the form of like a ZMA kind of thing, a zinc magnesium kind of complex before they sleep anyway. So it's not really an issue. It still gets absorbed even if you take it not on an empty stomach.
Hmm.
Yeah, so that's something to take note. Then in terms of vitamins, water-soluble vitamins are the big what's the other water-soluble vitamin? Uh Vitamin B. Yes, vitamin B. So all your B complexes and stuff as well. So those will be the good ones to take, I guess, on an empty stomach, if you want to talk about timing. But otherwise, everything else you probably can just take whenever you eat and stuff, it's probably not going to be a big deal. So don't worry too much. Just make sure you know what you're going to take and just take it regularly and you should be fine.
Okay. I think we went over time.
Oh man, damn it.
So we'll try again another time.
Wait. Just for the record here, how overtime are we?
Well, we're quite close, 2 minutes, but we're
Okay,
still wrapping up.
minutes.
Still wrapping up.
I think we can give ourselves a pat on the back, right? Like I think
Still
that's not
wrapping up.
too bad.
There's progress, but we're not quite there yet.
Not quite there. I'm sorry, guys, for all of you listening to this.
Yeah. So when you're coming, you were suggesting there with the ones that you take in the mornings, some after a meal, all that. Where would you say like the 4 that you suggested that you would take for the rest of your life? What would the timings be for those?
So if you wanted to optimize it, I would say the easiest way to optimize it would be, first of all, protein powder, you take it as and when you need to. Usually I recommend clients, just to keep things simple, take it 1 scoop before every meal, done. You take 1 scoop before every meal, that's 60 grams, easily 60 grams-ish of protein a day, and it will kind of help regulate your appetite anyway. And then the rest of your meals, you just have to get another maybe 40 grams to 60 grams, and you get roughly 100 to 120 grams a day. For the average person, that's totally fine. If you want a lot more like, benefit from getting protein and you're training really hard, then yeah, sure. You have to be a bit more intentional about it, but that's good. Once before every meal. Multivitamin and a fish oil doesn't really matter. Just take it first thing in the morning, just so you don't forget. It's one of those things, just so you don't forget. And then magnesium before you sleep, about half an hour before you sleep is pretty good.
And creatine?
Creatine, same thing in the morning as well.
Also in the morning.
Yeah. And then probiotics. Yeah, probiotics will just be in the morning as well. So you can see everything, just take it in the morning first thing, you should be fine.
Okay. Awesome.
Yeah.
I think we've covered everything. Shall we call that a day and
Let's
call it
do
a
it.
success?
Let's call that. Let's end on a high here.
All right, so that's a wrap on our exploration of supplements for the over-40 fitness. We've
All
covered
right.
most of the popular supplements and the importance of a balanced diet, regular exercise. And of course, we cannot have an episode like this without saying, please do consult with a healthcare professional before starting any of our regimens that we suggest.
Yeah.
But also remember that there's no magic pill for weight loss or fitness. The key lies in a holistic approach that includes healthy lifestyle choices. So our best advice is just to ditch the gimmicks and focus on what really matters, and that's your overall well-being.
All right.
Don't forget to subscribe to our podcast. We're on Spotify and we're also on YouTube. You can find us there if you want to listen, and do share with your friends that you feel that will benefit from this kind of information. Until next time.
Thanks, Mike. Thanks, guys, for listening.
Keep moving, and we'll see you in the next one.